In one of the more interesting moves of Toronto FC's season, Jacob Shaffelburg has been loaned to Nashville SC for the remainder of the 2022 season in return for $225,000 in general allocation money. There is also an international roster spot for the 2023 season going Nashville's way, and Shaffelburg's loan has an option to buy for the 2023 season. In Bob Bradley's tenure at Toronto FC, there have been a few decisions that kind of didn't make sense based off of the trajectory of some individual players and the trajectory of the team as a whole in the past couple of seasons. And I think the whole case of Jacob Shaffelburg is one of the weirdest. Shaffelburg last season in 2021, despite the team as a whole performing very poorly under Chris Armas and then Javier Perez, was one of, if not TFC's best player the entire season. In the second half of last season especially, Shaffelburg was a monster on the left wing, consistently putting up strong performances, and even ended off the season earning a call-up to the Canadian national team in the October window for their octagonal matches. So Shaffelburg was a guy who at the end of 2021 was on top of the world, was one of TFC's key pieces coming into the next season that was going to stick around, was one of the key flock of youngsters coming up to improve Toronto FC, and was on the radar to be in the Canadian national team squad regularly. And then Bob Bradley came in, didn't sign any fullbacks, let the fullbacks we had go, and tried to play Shaffelburg at fullback. And it just did not work. Shaffelburg never looked comfortable in the fullback role, yet he was being played there to let the even younger Luca Petrasso, who had a fantastic start to the season, get minutes at the left wing role in the 4-3-3 at the start of the season, despite the fact that Petrasso was a natural fullback to Shaffelburg's natural winger. Add on top of that a couple injuries throughout the start of the season, and overall Shaffelburg so far this year of TFC has gotten significantly less playtime than he did in 2021. Very few starts and mostly late substitute appearances for Shaffelburg this season have led it to a stall in his development, and in fact maybe a light regression, as he is nowhere near the star player for the squad that he was last year. Now of course for the front half of the season, Shaffelburg being hurt or not performing or not playing at the left wing position didn't really matter because we knew Insigne was coming. So it makes you think, was the attempt to play Shaffelburg at fullback, which may have ruined his entire season, a attempt to be able to have Shaffelburg in the starting 11 once Insigne showed up and took over the left wing role? It's an interesting thought process, but it obviously didn't pan out, and now Shaffelburg is being loaned off to Nashville. Now, in terms of TFC's playoff hopes this season, Shaffelburg obviously wasn't an important part of the squad this year. Had he been playing like he did last year, maybe we'd be in a different spot. Had he been given the opportunity to succeed the way he did last year, maybe this team would be in a better spot right now looking at the playoff window, but that didn't happen, and now he is being sent to Nashville, where he is going to definitely get playtime, because for the rest of the season, he's not going to get playtime looking at having and Insigne on the left side in both the left back and left wing roles. So Shaffelburg is not going to get a lick of starting minutes at Toronto FC for the remainder of the season, so loaning him out for that regard makes sense. In addition, we also get $225,000 in general allocation money, which can be used to go to the Fix the Defense Fund, which we keep talking about and keep saying with every single outgoing move, hey, maybe this will be that, hey, maybe this money will go to that, but it hasn't yet. So interesting to see what happens there, if now, finally, because $225,000 general allocation money is actually a decent amount of money. That's more than we got for Pozuelo. So it's interesting to see if we end up bringing in another defender using that money, or if that just goes to replace whatever we lost to Mark Anthony K transfer. The international roster spot we give up for next season, I mean, I've been over that a million times. Canadian teams only get 3 extra international roster spots, so we have some to trade around. And what's the most interesting about this is that Nashville, of course, has the option to buy Shaffelburg for the 2023 season. So if Shaffelburg goes to Nashville, gets some significant minutes, regains his 2021 form that he had for TFC for Nashville, I can see them jumping on the opportunity to sign him, because this is a guy who like all things considered, was a Canadian national team player in the octagonal. He only had 12 minutes, and was only in one window, but he was a guy in the octagonal, and had the MLS season not stopped, had his form just continued straight on, and had the start to this season not been as disastrous as it was for him, I could see him regularly being in the Team Canada conversation. So this is a guy who is just really a little bit of confidence and a little bit of form away from being right back into the Canadian national team conversation. And what team in MLS right now wouldn't want a guy on the Canadian national team? Obviously none, as we're seeing a lot of Canadian national team guys getting a lot of attention all across the league. It does put Shaffelburg's tenure at TFC in a really interesting spot, because if he succeeds at Nashville and regains his form, there's no way he's coming back. If he doesn't and ends up being sent back to TFC when the loan expires, he's not going to get playtime at TFC unless he really impresses next preseason, because he's not going to be starting above Insigne on the left wing. And also with the development of Jaden Nelson and Luca Petrasso, that left side is getting kind of crowded on the depth chart. So best of luck to Jacob Shaffelburg at Nashville, and when he's back on the Canadian national team after tearing it up for Nashville and MLS, us TFC fans are going to be very sad. But happy for him, but sad for losing out on who could be a very good player in this league. So that is it for this video. As always, if you like to hit like, if you want to see more of my stuff, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter, link is down below in the description, and I will see you next time.